Hello Year 10, this is Mr Thornton and this is your last history lesson of the week. So I'm pretty sure you're all going to be happy by that. You don't need to do history for the rest of this week once you've got this PowerPoint done. So we're going to get through this quite quickly. We are looking today at how did hospitals change during the early modern period. So we're still looking at that time period we were looking at last lesson, in between the Renaissance and the Industrial Revolution. And by the end of today, you'll be able to explain how the changes to hospitals both prevented and advanced medicine. Like always, guys, please can you go to the Show My Homework app or the Show My Homework and do the retrieval quiz. This time, retrieval quiz, how did hospitals change during the early modern period? So far this term, we've not really looked at the way people are actually treated in England since we've looked at Christianity. Instead, we've been focusing on individuals and the advancements that they make. But today we are going to look at the changes in hospitals and how they start to improve at the start of the early modern period, and then why this is important. Why does the way people are treated when they're sick actually advance medicine? And the main reason is because you can have the best medicine in the world and you can have the best medical theories in the world, but unless you are treating people, medicine is never going to advance. So, please can you read the chapter on the growth of hospitals on page 41 to 42, and you need to make notes and answer the following questions. What did Thomas Cormer do? What was his hospital for? How did this new hospital not help medicine to advance? And how is this similar to religious hospitals? So when you're going through it, look for what actually is this hospital doing? And is that a real advancement for medicine, or is it just something that's quite nice for the time period? Once you've done that, you need to answer question 1 on page 42. Now, please can you read the subchapter on voluntary hospitals on page 42, and once you've read it, answer the 3 questions below. You should all be trying the challenge questions. Yes, you don't have to, but you should be. You should all be stretching yourselves. You are more than capable, Year 10. You are all smart. You could all be trying to do this. So, which of the individuals have we looked at which have worked in hospitals? So think about the Renaissance, but also think to what extent hospitals have been necessary to advance medicine. So, would people that have worked in these hospitals been able to make their advancements if they were not in them? Okay, 8 mark, please, guys. Please can you do the same as yesterday? So write down the question, which is explain the significance of the improvements in hospitals during the early modern period. 8 marks. Then can you debug the question? And in case you've forgotten, that is box the command word, underline the keywords, and then go back and check once you've written it. In this question, because it's 8 marks, you need to be thinking 8 marks. That always means 2 points. So you need to talk about 2 ways that hospitals improved the way people were treated, and thus how hospitals improved medicine. Instead of just talking about the positives, because it's asking the significance, that means you can do both. You can do both the good and the bad versions. So instead of talking about how they advance medicine, you can talk how they don't. This is a model, guys, for you to be able to use when you are doing this question. So, the same as always, you use the question when coming up with your first sentence. So, one reason why the improvements in hospitals was significant was because it saw the movement away from caring for the sick towards curing the sick. So, we are going to talk about in this paragraph the movement away from religion and to actual curing. We talked about this when we looked at religion. Many of you were very, very good at saying how hospitals did not help people get better because they were only caring for them. This time I am saying because of hospitals in the early modern period, this is stopping and people are now much more concerned about curing the sick. So in blue, remember evidence. How do you know this? What do you know? During the medieval period, hospitals had been run by the church and thus were focusing on caring for the patients because curing illness was seen as acting against God. So I'm using my prior knowledge, learning from earlier in the term, to answer this question. I'm not just going, oh, what do I know from this lesson? I'm linking everything together. However, during the early modern period, the influence of religion had decreased. meaning that non-religious hospitals were opened, which implements the work of individuals like Paré. I'm using the work from previous lessons. Again, I'm bringing in Paré and I'm applying it to this lesson. But then we need to explain it again, guys. So this meant that people began to cure rather than just care for, which is significant as more people were likely to survive. This shows a clear advancement in medicine as people began to become more concerned with making sure that patients survived. That's the key thing about hospitals. This is the key thing, guys. Say what hospitals are for. Well, they're for curing and making people survive. Then, once again, you link back to the end the question. So, thus, the advancement of hospitals was significant in the development of medicine. I want you now, guys, to actually write this question. Full 2 paragraphs, not just one, I want 2 paragraphs. Explain the significance of the improvements in hospitals during the early modern period. You can use the one I've done as a model, but do not copy it. But you need to go along the same kind of route. Once you finish the plenary year 10, you are done for history for this week. So get it done properly, and then go have a good weekend.